Welcome to the Monday Monologue. And you're probably looking and going, why is your ST70 still sitting here? I thought you said you were done with that. Well, it was on the intro screen of my Monday Monologue now for a couple of years, or since I've started doing them, and we'll just have it on here for the rest of this year. I think it's just a really beautiful looking amp. And yeah, let's just kind of use it for a prop. So anyway, I wanted to kind of end up this year thanking some of the audio industry suppliers that have been really cool and friendly, and tell you about some of the places that I shop at. Buy most of my small parts from Mouser. I've just had really good luck. I like their search tools. It just makes it so easy to find things, and they've got, just rows and columns with all the different specs, like on capacitors and resistors. Look at what's the working voltage, how many hours, what's the temperature rating. It's so easy to find stuff, and you can sort through, by the ripple current, and just it makes it so easy to find the parts that you actually need. And I've kind of gone through that before about finding parts, and I think I did. Yeah, I did do a video on that, so I'll put that in the description about how I shop for parts. But Mouser's really nice. I do use DigiKey as a backup if Mouser doesn't have something that I'm looking for, like those mil-spec adjuster pots that I put in, like the Musishare and the R8 and some other amps use them in my color preamps. Those are hard to find. And that's what people say, well, which one? Give me a part number. I can't, because 3 weeks from I give you a part number and they'll sell out. And then people will be saying, well, what's the part number? It's like, I don't know, and they don't stock them very often. So some of that stuff you just got to kind of search, and some of it you got to get creative with. If it's got a 22K pot in there, you could probably put a 15K one in it. It's not going to cause any problems. And if you're worried about that little bit of extra current going through the 4 pots, you think that's going to be a problem with the power supply, or you don't want to calculate that up, just add a little bit of resistance to one side or the other of the pot to get it where you want it, and just got to be a little creative on this stuff. So one of the other places I buy a lot of parts from is Tubes and More. At least that's what I search. And it's Antique Music Supply or something like that. I'll put it up here, the acronym or whatever. But I just search Tubes and More on Google, pops up. So they've got a lot of tube sockets. I buy my Soling caps there. They've got a lot of axial leaded caps, which are hard to find. Mouser doesn't stock a lot of those, and they've got them. It's a lot of guitar amp kind of parts. Buy tubes from them. A lot of times they have tubes on sale, and so I kind of wait until I see they're having some kind of JJ sale or whatever, and then I'll buy a dozen EL34 tubes, or a bunch of 7025s or 5751s, or whatever tubes that I use a lot of. I'll stock up when I see they have a sale. If you're like me and you're experimenting around or building a lot of amps and stuff, definitely worth waiting till they're on sale. And the same thing about resistors. One of the things that I've done is I always buy, even if I only need 2 resistors, I buy 10, because you get a nice discount at Mouser for buying 10 instead of 2. And then put them in a bin box. And I got these bin boxes up here behind me, and they're set up with 0 to 10 ohms, and then 10 to 1K. And I go, have the bins set up with the different things, and I just put them in there in stock, so that when I'm getting ready to do a project and I need a resistor, I'm probably going to have one. And I've just kind of defaulted to using those PRO2 Vichy resistors, the little red guys. They're nice and compact. They're quiet. I think they sound good. That's something I am going to experiment with. Is I'm going to build 2 ST70s. Well, I got the other one over here. I want to build it identical to this one, except I'm going to use high-end resistors instead of these little blue metal film ones that come with this amp, and see if I hear a difference. One of my new audio buddies is telling me that he can hear a pretty big difference between them, so I want to play with that. Leave in the comments below what you think about, fancy resistors like Kiwami or Tachman, or those aren't super high end, but I know they have like those audio notes, something that are $35 a piece. I just can't ever see doing that. There's too many resistors in an amp to do that. Maybe in a particular position, like in a feedback loop or something, it would be audible. I don't know. So anyway, getting kind of off track here. Another place I buy my coupling caps from is Maddie Sound, and they were super responsive when I first started buying some caps. They mostly have like speaker sized ones, and they had a couple that worked for coupling caps, but they were missing some that I use in my phono stages. And I emailed them and was like, hey, I do buy a lot of these. If you'll stock these, I'll buy them from you. And instantly they stocked them. And so you should be able to find, especially if you're using these Mundorf aluminum oil caps like I do, Maddie Sound is a great place to get them. And that's another thing I've kind of standardized on, using those caps in everything. And I know some people say, I don't like the way they sound, or they're too top end heavy or something, but I know what they sound like. I know their quality. They don't take long to break in. Like, as somebody that's selling amplifiers, I can't build amps with some kind of exotic copper foil cap that takes 30 hours to break in. Because if a customer plugs in my amp and it doesn't sound good, I'm not going to tell them that they got to burn them in for 30 or 50 hours before they can review it. They want to plug it in and see what it sounds like. And so, anyway, Maddie Sound is a great place. The other good store is the Parts Connection. I've been buying a lot of stuff through them over the years. I was buying my audio note volume pots from them. If you're in Canada, they probably are a better place to get your coupling caps and stuff like that. They've got a lot of resistors. They've got just a whole array of different parts. When they first revamped their website, it was a train wreck. But they finally got it populated back up, and it's easy to navigate again. And I'm not sure it was any better than the old one, but of course somebody thought that the old one was too old looking, and so they updated it and made it less functional. But anyway, it's navigatable now. So that's really good. Another place that I buy all of my Hammond stuff through, and now that I'm doing production stuff, I buy like transformers in quantity. And I found Hawk Electronics is a really good place to buy my transformers and chassis and all that stuff through. And obviously I'm buying on a bigger scale, but if I buy, I think it's over $1,200 worth of stuff at a time, I get free shipping. And shipping on transformers is expensive. I mean, it gets expensive really quick. I mean, it can, I can buy $600 worth of transformers and the shipping might be $125. Where if I buy $1,200 worth, I get free shipping. And so basically I'm saving a couple $100 on shipping, making one big order instead of two small ones. And so trying to get everything together. Like in January, I'm going to buy like 10 phono stage chassis and all the iron for that, and all the iron to build 6 or 7, 8 of those EL34 amps to hit that price point so I can get the free shipping. So Hawk Electronics is a place to look, and they do have volume discounts as well, and really much better prices than Mauser, but their shipping's kind of high. But then if you hit that price point and you get the free shipping, then it becomes almost a bargain. Well, not just, it's still expensive. But anyway, another place that I've been buying iron from is the Edcore 15 watt GX SE transformers, the 5K ones especially. That's a really good sounding transformer, and it's at a really good price point. The 25 watt ones are okay. I really think the 15 watt ones are kind of the Three Little Bears thing, where they are big enough where they've got some low frequency response, but they're not real big where they can be inefficient and have issues, or just, I'm sticking with their 15 watt ones going forward. And I have found, though, you need to go a little higher impedance than you might with, say, a ISO Tango to get the same kind of distortion performance. And they'll have a little less power because of that. So, like an EL34 tube, get a 5K transformer. I think we did on the channel, I tried a 3.5K versus the 5K. The 5K just sounded better. Another place to look at iron is Musical Power Supplies. They make a really nice 15 watt hi-fi. You got to get the one with the ultralinear tap. The smaller one that's made for guitars it's made for guitars. It's just not, doesn't have the good low frequency response like the hi-fi ones do. But that's a nice transformer. For you folks in Europe, Thermionic Labs has been awesome. And every amp I've built using their iron has sounded great. And so, again, if you're in Europe, that probably makes a lot of sense. In the US, I don't know what the deal is with shipping from Greece. It takes a long time. And it may be that they're shipping it in a slower way than some of these other manufacturers do to try to save you on some shipping. That might be a conversation I have with them, because in the US it is a long wait. But it's honestly not as long as you're going to wait for special order and stuff from Edcore. So, there you go. I do want to talk to them about making a 15 watt output transformer, because they make a 10 watt and a 20 watt. The 20 watt ones are pretty big. And I think they are missing a market segment with that little 15 watt for like an EL34 amp. And the nice thing with Thermionic Labs is they've got a great tech staff. They'll custom wind whatever you want, and they'll set the air gap for what you want. And that's an important consideration, that you want to run as small an air gap in a single-ended transformer as you can without it saturating and turning into an electromagnet, because you're running more current through it than the air gap. That's what that's all about. Of course, George Lentz up at Tubes USA, he's been awesome. He's given me a lot of really friendly advice. He's, sent stuff for me to try. He sent me some of those EML 300B tubes to try, and I ended up buying them from him because they sounded so good. And he's been great about getting output transformers, not only for me, but for you guys. And I'm sure some of you guys have reached out to him and said, like, hey, Skunky sent me, and he's told me he really tries to do what he can for my customers, because he appreciates me, sending you guys to him. And those ISO Tango transformers are just, they're worth the money, guys. I mean, I know sometimes you just don't have the money, and it's like, I can't do that right now. And I've been trying to convince folks that are buying my EL34 amps that it's worth the extra $500 to get the ISO Tango iron and the other little upgrades that I sprinkle around the amp when I do the deluxe model. But hey, if your money's tight, those other transformers work good too. But it is just kind of that next little level. And if you're spending, especially if you're building it yourself and you're going to be spending $800, $900 on parts, it's worth spending the extra few $100 more and getting some of those ISO Tango transformers. Now, unfortunately, we don't know what's going to happen as far as the tariffs and that stuff. And I keep politics out of my channel. You don't know how many people try to start politics stuff in my comments, and they instantly get banned. I mean, we're not going to do politics. This is audio. And we're not going to do social justice. We're not going to do, you want to get on some kind of social war platform thing on my channel, you're going to get banned. So anyway, but if we do have those tariffs, that could impact what buying stuff like those ISO Tango transformers or those email tubes or any of that stuff is going to end up costing us. So there is that. I did find another new store that I just ordered some stuff from, and I'll see how that goes, but somebody told me that they're a good place to buy. It's in the UK, called the Hi-Fi Collective. They actually have these 100K audio note potentiometers for half of what I've been paying for them. So I ordered like a half a dozen of them, and we'll see how that works out. Hopefully it gets shipped over and then get some kind of, end up on a tariff bus and something, and end up with a, being double what I used to pay or something because of that. But if that's true, I'm probably going to be buying some more stuff from them. So that's another, especially in Europe too. If you're over there in the UK or whatever, they seem like they got good prices, and I've heard they've got good service. So why don't you leave in the comments any place that you've been buying stuff from that you've been happy with. The other place that I've bought tubes from is the Tube Depot, and I've had really good luck with them. They've normally have good prices. They have sales fairly often. Now, none of those places are good for buying like new old stock tubes. They're just not. And I've had a mixed bag dealing with, I think it's Viva tubes. Sometimes there's stuff, or sometimes they come okay and whatever, but sometimes I go back and look and the prices were kind of gougy. And I know during the whole Ukraine war thing, they were charging just like ridiculous prices for their tubes that they already had in stock. And to me, that's, I don't know. I just don't like that kind of business model. If you paid a certain price for the tube and then world conditions change and all of a sudden they're kind of scarce, to like just jack up the prices when there's a shortage, I don't know. I just don't appreciate that kind of a business model. But hey, sometimes they're the only place that has a certain tube. We'll say too, PSV's been awesome. They've been, working with me on getting the message out about these new Horizon tubes, which I'm a big fan of, but maybe not for every use. But they are a good tuning tool if you're looking for detail and maybe a little brightness, or a little, not really brightness, but almost just edginess. If you got an amp that sounds a little dull, pop in some of those and it will move it to the next level on that. And then another company that's been really good has been a Yima. Both them and Fosse have been really easy to deal with. They haven't gotten fantastic reviews on every product that they've sent to me to try. And they're still appreciative that I did the review, and they don't threaten me with a lawsuit because I didn't give it a glowing review, or I said that this one's better than that one or whatever. And some of that Yima stuff was really good, like that little A70. That's a really good sounding little chip amp. And then those little Fosse monos sounded really nice. And I do need to do a review on that. Fosse sent me a phono stage, and I apologize to them that I hadn't gotten to that. They were trying to get me to do it for Thanksgiving, but the one they sent me the wrong transformer with it and stuff. I'll get into that in the review, but yeah, that kind of slowed down that process, and they had to send me another one. And I think they were pretty understanding that, whoops, we sent you a problem. So anyway, hey, and that happens with every, any manufacturer. And I've learned with a company, the way they deal with a problem is what really matters, or it shows who they are as a company. And a good example of why I use Mauser, and I've heard other people say the same thing. I'd ordered like 10 or 25 resistors or something like that of the wrong ones. And I left out the decimal point, or I didn't leave it out because I just didn't see it. I ordered the wrong resistors. And I called them up to see about returning them, because it was kind of an oddball thing that I'd probably never use. And they were like, oh, we'll just send them to you. You've been a good customer. We'll just send you these. And they didn't even charge me shipping. And they didn't even want the old ones back. They were like, you can just throw them away or put them on your shelf or whatever. They're not worth returning. And we'll ship them out to you. And, they shipped them out, the normal shipping time, not expedited shipping, but they just, first class mail. They were here in a couple of days, and they're free. And they didn't have to do that. But that's a company that values their customer. And I spent probably thousands of dollars with them. So, what's a dozen resistors? But there's companies out there that wouldn't see it that way. And they're like every penny, whatever. And so that's when you find out about a company. And like I said, Fosse, They sent me one with the wrong transformer. They sent with a 220 or 240 volt one instead of a 110 volt one, and I didn't see it at first. And luckily, it didn't blow up any of my gear, but I think it blew up their little box. And they were like very apologetic and sent me another one. And so that's a sign of a company that's quality. And when you see these companies out there that are threatening to sue YouTubers and doing copyright strikes and all that kind of stuff, those are the people that need to be canceled, because that's just nonsense. So anyway, I think that's probably going to wrap up this video. And for the music for the week, and I don't have it here sitting in front of me, and this is probably going to piss off you streamer or digital folks, but it's Christmas time, right? And I like listening to some Christmas music. And I really love Charlie Brown Christmas. That's just really brings back childhood memories and stuff listening to that music. And there's no digital version of it that sounds good. The CD sounds horrible. All the streaming I've tried sounds horrible. I mean, it sounds like they pulled it off the TV show. Like it's a VHS quality music. I mean, it's horrible. And then I ordered the vinyl, and I've got like the special Christmas green vinyl one. And I'll look on Amazon. If they've got it, I'll put the link below. And yeah, get you some Christmas cheer and toss that vinyl on. And for you guys that don't have a turntable, I don't know what to tell you. You have to find some other Christmas music. Go listen to Mariah Carey. Just kidding. Anyway, hope y'all are planning on having a happy holiday. Like I said in my last Monday monologue, be kind to other people and be kind to yourself. And, take care of your family, take care of your friends and all that stuff, but give yourself a little treat for Christmas too. And let's have a happy 2025. Thanks to all you folks that are supporting my channel. Thanks to you folks that have subscribed. Thanks to all you Patreon supporters. Everybody's giving me all the support. This is something I never anticipated even doing. Somebody had told me 5 years ago, you're going to have a YouTube channel doing hi-fi tube audio, and be like, you're crazy. But hey, I said the same thing about being a politician on the local city council. So hey, life's full of surprises, and this has been a nice one. And you guys have been awesome. I hope y'all have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and we'll see you next week for the Monday Monologue.